You have spent your life believing that opportunities are the result of luck, timing, or perhaps a tireless work ethic that eventually catches the eye of a benevolent gatekeeper. You have been told that if you put your head down and perform with excellence, the world will eventually beat a path to your door. But as you look around, you see a different reality. You see individuals with half your talent occupying the rooms you dream of entering. You see people whose technical skills are mediocre at best, yet they are handed the keys to the kingdom while you remain in the foyer, clutching your credentials. You have mistaken the symptoms of success for the source. The source is not your resume, your degree, or even your effort. The source is the signal you broadcast to the environment. The world does not respond to what you want. It responds to what you expect. This is the psychological gravity of confidence, the silent, invisible force that dictates why some people are pulled into rooms of power while others are perpetually pushed to the margins. When you walk into a space, you are not just a collection of biological data. You are a walking probability. Every person you meet is subconsciously calculating the risk of associating with you. They are looking for a reason to trust your judgment, to invest in your vision, or to grant you a seat at the table. And because the human brain is wired for efficiency, it does not look for proof, it looks for certainty. If you appear hesitant, if your presence is apologetic, or if you're waiting for someone else to validate your right to be there, you are signaling to the world that you are a high-risk asset, and you are telling them that you do not trust yourself, so they shouldn't either. But when you move with an internal authority, when your body and voice agree with your intent, you lower the cost of others saying yes to you. You become a safe harbor in a world of chaos. Confidence is not a personality trait. It is a standard of existence that makes you magnetically attractive to the very opportunities you used to chase. Think about the physics of the void. Opportunities are like air. They rush to fill the vacuum created by someone who is ready to hold them. Most people are cluttered with doubt, which leaves no room for the expansive nature of a new breakthrough. But when you cultivate a sovereign mindset, you are effectively clearing the deck. You are telling the universe that you have the capacity to handle the weight of a higher role, a bigger stage, or a deeper responsibility. You are about to discover that confidence is not about knowing you will succeed. It is about being at peace with the unknown because you trust your internal compass. You are moving from a scarcity-based existence where you beg for a chance to an abundance-based reality where you select from the options that naturally gravitate toward your light. This is the study of why the world yields to the person who knows where they are going. We're going to deconstruct the psychology of the signal, the ethics of self-trust, and the law of social gravitation. You will learn how to rewrite the script of your own value so that the world has no choice but to read you as a leader. You are the architect of your own luck. It is time to stop waiting for the door to open and start becoming the key. Your presence is your currency. It is time to increase your value. Chapter 1. The biosignal of the sovereign. You must first understand that before you ever utter a word of your value or present a single page of your credentials, you have already been read. Human interaction is a biological conversation occurring at a frequency far below the threshold of conscious thought. When you step into a room, you are broadcasting a biosignal, a complex data stream composed of your posture, the tension in your facial muscles, the depth of your breath, and the steadiness of your gaze. Most people move through the world with a fractured signal because they are seeking external validation. Their bodies are in a state of chronic micro-adjustment. They are subconsciously checking to see if they are being accepted, if they are standing correctly, or if they are imposing on others. This internal noise creates a static that the world interprets as a lack of authority. But the person who attracts opportunity has mastered the sovereign signal. You realize that confidence is not a performance you put on for others. It is a physical state of certainty that you inhabit for yourself. Think about the physics of the vacuum. In the natural world, nature abhors a vacuum. When there is a space of unclaimed authority, the world moves to fill it. Most people walk into a new opportunity with a contracted presence. They shrink their shoulders, they lower their eyes, and they use softening language to minimize their impact. By doing this, you are leaving a void. You are signaling to the gatekeepers that you are not heavy enough to occupy the seat. You are telling them that you are a guest in the reality they have built. But when you inhabit your sovereign frame, you are claiming the coordinates. You are telling the environment that you are the primary object in the room. This does not require aggression or noise. It requires mass. You move with a liquid deliberation that suggests you have nowhere to be but exactly where you are. This spatial entitlement is the first reason why opportunities stick to you. People want to give responsibility to the person who looks like they can carry the weight without breaking. This biosignal is deeply rooted in your neuroarchitecture. When you lack confidence, your brain enters a state of high arousal or threat monitoring. You are scanning the room for judgment. This scan is visible to everyone else. It manifests as darting eyes, fidgeting hands, and a tightened voice. To the observer, this looks like unreliability. They think, if this person is rattled by a simple introduction, and how will they handle $1 million crisis? But when you cultivate internal sovereignty, you move into a low arousal state. You are not scanning for judgment because you have already judged yourself to be worthy. Your eyes become still, your movements become sparse, and your breath deepens into your abdomen. This biological calm acts as a magnetic lure for opportunity. In a world of frantic, reactive people, the calm person is the leader. People are drawn to your stillness because it promises stability. They offer you opportunities not because they like you, but because your presence lowers their own anxiety about the future. Consider the law of the mirror. Humans are biologically wired to co-regulate with one another. When you interact with someone who is physically certain, your own nervous system begins to align with theirs. If you walk into a high-stakes negotiation with a sovereign signal, the person across from you will subconsciously begin to feel more secure in your presence. By trusting yourself, you are literally giving them permission to trust you. Most people fail because they try to convince others of their value using logic while their bodies are screaming a message of doubt. You cannot talk someone into an opportunity if your biosignal is repelling them. You must learn to align your physical reality with your professional intent. You move from the effort of the salesman to the inevitability of the source. You realize that looking the part is not about fashion, and it is about biological congruence. You must also recognize the power of the unhurried. In the hierarchy of the social animal, the person who rushes is the servant. The person who waits is the sovereign. Most people rush their speech, their movements, and their decisions because they are afraid of losing the moment. They think that if they don't fill the silence or move fast, the opportunity will disappear. But this hurry is a signal of scarcity. It tells the world that you believe this is your only chance, and you are desperate to catch it. Confidence is the wealth of time. You move with a deliberate tempo. You allow pauses to exist in your conversation. You take a full breath before responding to a complex question. This temporal authority tells the world that you are at home in the moment. It suggests that you have limitless options and that you are evaluating the opportunity just as much as it is evaluating you. This reversal of the chase is what makes you magnetically attractive. Think about the architecture of the gaze. The eyes are the windows of your biosignal. Most people flicker their eyes away when they make a point, or they look down when they receive praise. This is a status drop. It is an admission that you find the intensity of the moment too heavy to hold. To attract the highest level opportunities, you must develop a heavy gaze. This is not a stare down of aggression. It is a relaxed, wide-angle focus that says, "I see you, and I am comfortable being seen by you." When you can hold eye contact through a difficult silence or a challenging question, you are proving your psychological density. You are telling the world that you are unshakable. Gatekeepers of big opportunities are always looking for the unshakable person. They want the person whose gaze does not shatter under pressure. You move from glancing at your future to beholding it. This requires you to divorce your body language from your temporary feelings. You may feel nervous, underqualified, or uncertain on the inside. Everyone does at some point. But your biosignal is a standard you maintain regardless of the internal weather. You must treat your presence as a professional duty. You stand tall because that is the standard of a leader. You speak slowly because that is the standard of an authority. You maintain stillness because that is the standard of a sovereign. When you embody these physical traits consistently, your brain begins to believe the signal your body is sending. You are reverse engineering your own confidence. You are becoming the person that opportunities are designed for. You move from the flicker to the flame. Start practicing the sovereign entry. For the next week, every time you enter a room, whether it's a boardroom or a grocery store, do not check yourself in the door. Do not adjust your clothes. Do not look down at your phone. Instead, take a deep breath, broaden your shoulders, and look at the furthest point in the room. Inhabit the full dimensions of your body, and notice how the energy of the room changes as you enter with intentional mass. You are training your nervous system to accept visibility. You are calibrating your biosignal. You are claiming the space before you even earn it. The biosignal of the sovereign is the foundation of your magnetic power. It is the silent argument that you are the right person for the job. Without it, your talent is invisible. But with it, your presence is unignorable. You move from trying to be noticed to being the one who is followed. You are no longer asking for a chance. You are signaling that you are the solution. The world will learn to offer you the world the moment you learn to inhabit your own. You are the signal. You are the mass. You are the sovereign. And today, your presence is finally heavy enough to pull the future towards you. Chapter 2. The Psychology of the Unshakable Standard. You must now transition from the physical manifestation of your signal to the internal engine that powers it, your psychological standard. Most people operate on a market-based value system. They look at the environment, they assess the competition, and they wait for someone else to tell them what they are worth. If they receive a compliment, their confidence rises. If they face a rejection or a cold room, their confidence collapses. This is fragile authority. It tells the world that your internal reality is a slave to external circumstances, but the person who attracts elite opportunities possesses an unshakable standard. You realize that your value is not a variable to be debated by the market. It is a constant that you define in the privacy of your own mind. You move from the negotiation of the desperate to the declaration of the sovereign. Think about the physics of the anchor. In a storm, the ships that are tossed about are the ones whose anchors are too shallow or non-existent. Most people have a shallow anchor. Their self-belief is tied to their most recent win. To attract opportunities that are large and durable, you must sink your anchor into something deeper than your achievements. You must anchor yourself in your commitment to the process and your inherent right to occupy space. When you walk into a high-stakes meeting, you aren't there to find out if you're good enough. You are there to demonstrate a standard that you have already perfected in private. And this pre-settled confidence is what gatekeepers sense. They aren't just looking for skills. They are looking for certainty. When you are unshakable, you become the anchor for everyone else in the room. They offer you the lead because you are the only one who isn't drifting in the wind of social pressure. This standard requires you to understand the hierarchy of the internal dialogue. Most people are their own most vicious critics. They speak to themselves in a way they would never tolerate from a friend or a colleague. They use words like maybe, hopefully, or I'll try. This internal stuttering creates a psychological leak that eventually manifests in your body and voice. To attract opportunities, you must edit your internal script with surgical precision. You move from reactive language to directive language. Instead of asking yourself, will they like me? You ask, does this opportunity align with my standard? This reversal of the gaze is a massive status shift. It tells your subconscious that you are the buyer, not the seller. When you treat your own time and energy as precious resources, the world begins to treat them that way too. You are programming your environment by policing your own thoughts. Consider the trap of the approval seeker. When you are seeking approval, you are outsourcing your power. You are telling the person across from you that they have the authority to decide if you are valid. This creates an imbalance that makes the other person feel burdened by your neediness, and it is repellent. But confidence is self-sufficient. You don't need the other person to agree with your value because you have already validated yourself. This detachment from the outcome is the ultimate power move. It makes you look dangerous in the best way possible. It suggests that you have other options, that you have a higher calling, and that you are unbuyable. Opportunities chase the person who is willing to walk away. By holding a high standard for what you accept, you force the world to raise its offer to meet you. You move from the petitioner to the prize. You must also recognize the law of the set point. Every human has a comfort zone for the level of opportunity they believe they deserve. If an opportunity comes along that is too big for your current self-image, you will subconsciously sabotage it to return to your set point. You will stumble over your words, you will miss the deadline, or you will hide in the conversation. To attract and keep high-level opportunities, you must manually raise your set point. You do this through psychological immersion. You begin to act as if the future version of you, the one who has already succeeded, is the current reality. You ask, how would the CEO version of me handle this email? How would the world-class athlete version of me walk into this gym? By inhabiting the result before it arrives, you are normalizing the expansion. You are making greatness feel ordinary. When greatness feels ordinary to you, it feels inevitable to the world. Think about the physics of the no. A person without a standard says yes to everything because they are afraid of missing out. They take the low-paying client, the dead-end project, and the toxic association. This indiscriminate acceptance is a signal of low value. It tells the world that your time is a cheap commodity. But the sovereign person is defined by what they refuse. Your no is the border of your kingdom. When you say no to a substandard opportunity, you are clearing space for a high-standard one. You are telling the universe that you have integrity. This selectivity is magnetic. People want to be on the list of the person who is hard to reach. They want the exclusive access that comes with your standard of excellence. By being economical with your yes, you make your yes the most valuable asset in the market. This requires you to overcome the fear of the void. There is a period of silence that occurs when you raise your standards, but the new world hasn't arrived yet. You have said no to the old ways, and for a moment, it looks like nothing is happening. The insecure person panics during this silence and lowers their standard to get back in the game. But the confident person trusts the lag. You realize that the market is calibrating to your new frequency. You use this void to sharpen your tools and deepen your resolve. You stay still. You stay heavy. This psychological endurance is the filter that separates the leaders from the followers. When you refuse to blink in the face of the silence, the higher-level opportunities finally reveal themselves. They were waiting to see if your standard was real. Start practicing the standard audit. Tonight, look at every commitment in your life, your job, your relationships, your daily habits. Ask yourself, is this a low-standard anchor or a high-standard launchpad? Identify one thing that you are doing only out of fear or habit and eliminate it. Do not replace it immediately. Sit in the space you have created. Feel the weight of your own no. You are declaring your sovereign borders. You are telling your subconscious that you are ready for more. You are preparing the soil for the opportunities that are already searching for you. The psychology of the unshakable standard is the operating system of your attraction. It is the internal gravity that pulls high-value people and high-value outcomes into your life. Without it, you are just a performer waiting for a cue. But with it, and you are the director of the play, you move from being a victim of the market to being the maker of the market. You are no longer hoping for a break. You are embodying the breakthrough. The world will learn to respect your price the moment you learn to refuse to discount yourself. You are the standard. You are the anchor. You are the sovereign. And today, your mind is finally heavy enough to claim the crown. Chapter 3. The Law of Social Gravitation. You must now confront the invisible mechanics of how human hierarchies organize themselves around the presence of certain individuals. Most people believe that social influence is a game of pursuit, that if you chase the right people, network with enough intensity, and pitch your value with enough desperation, you will eventually be let in. But this is a fundamental misunderstanding of the social physics of the elite. In every industry, every room, and every high-level opportunity, there is a center of gravity. Most people are satellites. They are in orbit around someone else's vision, someone else's rules, and someone else's approval. But the person who attracts opportunity has learned to become the gravitational center. You move from the orbit of the seeker to the pull of the sovereign. You realize that influence is not about reaching out. It is about becoming heavy enough that the world has no choice but to fall toward you. Think about the physics of mass. In the physical universe, the more mass an object has, the stronger its gravitational pull. In the social universe, mass is replaced by certainty. Most people are lightweight because their internal state is fragmented. They are constantly checking their phone for external validation, adjusting their opinions to match the room, and wavering on their decisions. This lack of mass makes them easily pushed and easily ignored. But when you possess a high density of purpose, you become heavy. You have a fixed set of values, a clear direction, and an unshakable belief in your own path. This psychological density creates a warping of the social fabric around you. People can feel your weight before you speak. They gravitate towards you because they are looking for something stable to hold on to in a chaotic world. They offer you opportunities because they want to be hit by your momentum. This gravitation requires you to understand the hierarchy of the need. In every interaction, there is a need giver and a need taker. The person who needs the most, the one who needs the deal, needs the job, or needs the yes, is the one with the weakest pull. They are the satellite trying to get closer to the planet. To attract the most elite opportunities, you must invert this dynamic. You must cultivate high-value detachment. This does not mean you are arrogant or uninterested. It means you are internally sufficient. You walk into the room with the energy of someone who is already successful. You aren't looking for a solution to your life. You are the solution to their problem. When you stop needing the opportunity. The opportunity begins to need you. This is the social paradox. The less you reach, the more people offer. By withdrawing your desperation, you are increasing your mass. Consider the trap of the pitch. Most people believe they need to sell themselves. They have a rehearsed script, a perfect elevator pitch, and a dazzling list of features. But selling is a low-status activity. It implies that the product, you, is not self-evidently valuable. The sovereign person does not pitch, they audit. When you meet a potential partner or a gatekeeper, you don't ask, "How can I get you to hire me?" You ask, "Is this project worthy of my energy?" This reversal of the burden of proof is a massive gravitational shift. It tells the other person that you are the gatekeeper of your own precious resources. It forces them to pitch to you. This is how you attract prime opportunities. The highest level players don't want a servant who is easy to buy. They want a peer who is hard to convince. By being selective, you are signaling that you are the prize. You must also recognize the law of the room tilt. Have you ever noticed how, in a group setting, the energy of the room eventually tilts toward one person? Everyone subconsciously angles their bodies toward them. They wait for that person's reaction before they laugh at a joke. They look to that person for the final word. This is the gravitational lead. You achieve this not by talking the most, but by being the most physically and mentally present. Most people are mentally elsewhere. They are thinking about their next sentence, their dinner plans, or their social anxiety. This absence makes them transparent. But when you are 100% there, when your attention is a heavy, focused beam, you become the most real thing in the room. This intensity of presence is magnetic. People fall into your orbit because your clarity is a refuge from their distraction. They offer you the lead because you are the only one who is truly awake. Think about the physics of the slow response. In the animal kingdom, quick, jerky movements are a sign of prey. Slow, deliberate movements are a sign of a predator or a sovereign. This applies to your social rhythm as well. When someone asks you a question, the insecure person snaps back with an answer, afraid of the silence. This reflexive speed signals that you are at the mercy of their timeline. But the confident person uses the weighted pause. You take a breath. You evaluate the question. You allow a moment of stillness to exist before you speak. This temporal mass tells the world that you are sovereign over the clock. It makes your words heavier when they finally arrive. People wait for you because your delay suggests depth. By slowing down the interaction, you are asserting your gravitational control. You move from reacting to ruling. This requires you to overcome the urge to be helpful. Many people try to earn their way into opportunities by being overly accommodating. They say yes to every favor. They over-explain their reasoning, and they apologize for their existence. This niceness is a gravitational leak. It tells the world that you are disposable. But confidence is respectful boundary setting. You must be willing to be unhelpful if a request does not align with your standard. You must be willing to say no without an explanation. This uncompromising integrity is intimidating to the weak, but irresistible to the powerful. Elite gatekeepers are looking for someone who cannot be pushed around. They want someone whose mass is solid. When you refuse to be easy, you increase your pull. Start practicing the silent center. In your next group interaction, resolve to be the person who speaks the least, but listens the most. Maintain your wide-angle gaze. Do not fidget with your phone. Do not rush to fill the silence. Simply be the heaviest presence in the room. Notice how the conversation eventually finds its way to you. And notice how people begin to check in with your expression to see if you approve. You are testing your gravitational pull. You are becoming the planet. You are training the world to orbit around your stillness. The law of social gravitation is the invisible engine of your career and life. It is the reason why certain people are hand-picked for greatness while others are forgotten. Without it, you are shouting into the void, but with it, you are the void that demands to be filled. You move from pursuing the light to being the sun. You are no longer asking for a seat. You are creating the table. The world will learn to yield to your momentum the moment you learn to believe in your own mass. You are the gravitation. You are the center. You are the sovereign. And today, your pull is finally heavy enough to bring the stars to you. Chapter 4. The Physics of High-Value Exchange. To understand why confidence is the ultimate catalyst for opportunity, you must look past the social surface and analyze the mechanical transaction of human value. Every professional offer, every partnership, and every promotion is a form of exchange. Most people approach this exchange from a position of deficit. They believe that they are taking something from the world, a salary, a title, or a chance, and therefore, they must apologize for the cost they represent. They move with a high-friction energy, over-explaining their worth and discounting their requirements. This is the transactional slave. It signals to the gatekeepers that you do not believe the value you provide is equal to the opportunity you are receiving. But the person who attracts elite offers has mastered the physics of high-value exchange. You realize that your presence is not a cost to be minimized. It is an asset that increases the value of the room. You move from asking for a favor to offering a solution. Think about the psychology of the price tag. In the world of luxury goods, a high price tag does not repel the right buyer. It attracts them. It signals exclusivity, quality, and certainty. If a diamond were sold for the price of a pebble, you would not think you had found a bargain. You would assume the diamond was fake. Most people price themselves like pebbles. They are so easy to get, so eager to please, and so available that the world subconsciously assumes their internal value is low. To attract premium opportunities, you must raise your internal price. This does not mean you are difficult for the sake of being difficult. It means you have a clear boundary for what your time and genius are worth. When you move with confidence, you are setting the market rate for your existence. You are telling the world that access to you is an investment, not a charity. People chase what is expensive because they believe expensive things solve expensive problems. This physics requires you to understand the hierarchy of the solution. Most people focus on their features, their skills, their history, and their effort. But the highest level of opportunity is not interested in features. It is interested in outcomes. The confident person understands that they are the bridge between a current problem and a future result. When you speak about your work, you do not speak with the hesitation of someone who hopes it works. You speak with the authority of someone who knows it works. This certainty of outcome is what creates magnetic attraction. Gatekeepers are perpetually exhausted by the risk of hiring people who doubt themselves. When you walk in and remove the risk through your internal conviction, you are providing a service before you even start the job, and you are selling peace of mind. The opportunity is simply the currency they pay you for that peace. You move from being a candidate to being the answer. Consider the trap of the discount. Many people, in an attempt to be likable or to secure the deal, offer preemptive discounts on their value. They say, "I'm willing to start at a lower level," or "I don't mind doing the extra work for free." While they think this makes them competitive, it actually devalues the entire transaction. It signals that you are desperate for for the exchange, and that you do not trust your primary offering to be enough. But the sovereign person is comfortable with their full price. You realize that a high-value partner wants to pay a fair price for exceptional work. By refusing to discount your standard, you are validating the quality of the opportunity itself. You are telling the gatekeeper, "This project is so important that it deserves my full, uncompromised energy." This integrity of value is what makes you irresistible to those who are playing for high stakes. You must also recognize the law of the empty chair. In any high-level exchange, the person who is willing to leave the chair empty is the one who controls the gravity. Most people are terrified of the no. They are afraid that if they don't settle for the current offer, they will never get another one. And this fear of the void is a value killer. It makes you pliable and predictable, but confidence is the courage to wait. You must be internally wealthy enough to walk away from an exchange that degrades your standard. This willingness to lose the deal is the only thing that wins the respect of the elite. When you show that you cannot be bought for a low price, the world reevaluates your worth in real time. They realize that your presence is a limited resource. By protecting your chair, you ensure that only the highest value opportunities are allowed to sit in it. Think about the physics of the gift. Confidence allows you to give without expecting. Most people give in a transactional way. They are nice so that they will be liked, and they work hard so that they will be rewarded. This strings-attached behavior is heavy and manipulative, but the sovereign person operates from abundance. You provide value because that is who you are. You offer insight because you possess it in excess. This non-needy generosity is psychologically overwhelming to others. It makes them want to reciprocate at a higher level. When you act like you already have enough, the world scrambles to give you more. This is the abundance loop. The more certain you are of your internal wealth, the more the external world tries to match it. You move from the scarcity of the beggar to the legacy of the benefactor. And this requires you to overcome the imposter's tax. Many people sabotage their own exchanges because they feel they haven't earned it yet. They stutter when discussing compensation or equity. This hesitation is a tax you are paying to your insecurity. But you must realize that opportunity is not a reward for past behavior. It is an investment in future potential. The market does not care how hard you worked. It cares about the magnitude of the result you can deliver today. Confidence is the belief that you are worth the investment right now. You must stop apologizing for the size of the ask. You must step into the exchange with the unshakable belief that you are the best possible use of the capital, whether that capital is money, time, or trust. You move from being a cost to being the profit. Start practicing the value declaration. In your next professional interaction, when asked about your requirements or your thoughts, do not buffer your answer with "I think" or "if it's okay." State your standard as a flat fact. My rate for this project is X, or I require these resources to ensure this outcome. Then, be silent. Do not fill the space with justifications. Let the weight of your value sit in the room. Notice how the other person reacts. Most of the time, they will nod and accept. You are training yourself to expect the high-value exchange. You are deleting the discount from your internal system. The physics of high-value exchange is the mechanical reason why confidence works. It is the reason why the bold get the best, and the timid get the scraps. Without it, you are bargaining for your life. But with it, you are architecting your legacy. You move from being a participant in the market to being the one who sets the tone. You are no longer asking for what you want. You are aligning with what you are worth. The world will learn to pay your price the moment you learn to stop negotiating with yourself. You are the exchange, you are the value, you are the sovereign, and today, your price is finally heavy enough to buy the future. Chapter 5. The Strategic Alchemy of Risk and Reward. You must now examine the bridge between your internal state and the external materialization of success, the relationship you have with risk. Most people are risk-averse, not because they lack courage, but because they lack certainty of self. They view every new opportunity as a potential trap, where their inadequacy will finally be exposed. They move with a tentative energy, hedging their bets and waiting for a guarantee before they commit their full power. This is the safety seeker's stagnation. It tells the world that you are playing to not lose, rather than playing to win. But the person who attracts high-level opportunities understands the strategic alchemy of risk. You realize that confidence is the collateral you provide to the universe in exchange for outsized rewards. You move from the paralysis of the cautious to the fluidity of the bold. Think about the physics of the leap. In the professional and social world, big opportunities are rarely safe. They are wrapped in ambiguity, complexity, and the possibility of failure. Most people stand at the edge of these opportunities and hesitate. They ask for more data, more time, or more reassurance. This hesitation is a leak that gatekeepers detect immediately. It signals that you do not have the internal infrastructure to support the weight of the risk. But the confident person sees risk as the entry fee. You don't wait for the fear to disappear. You integrate the fear into your stature. When you say yes to a challenge that is beyond your current proven capacity, you are betting on your own adaptability. This self-bet is the most attractive quality to investors, partners, and leaders. They aren't looking for someone who knows everything. They are looking for someone who believes they can solve anything. This alchemy requires you to understand the hierarchy of the safety net. Most people believe their safety net is external, their savings, their job title, or their social connections. Because they believe their safety is outside of them, they are terrified of losing those things, which makes them compliant and timid. But the sovereign person knows that the only real safety net is internal. It is your resourcefulness, your resilience, and your unshakable standard. When you trust yourself to figure it out, you are liberated from the fear of loss. You can take the bold path because you know that even if the external structure collapses, the internal structure is intact. This freedom from fear is magnetic. It gives you a lightness and a speed that the cautious cannot match. People offer you transformative opportunities because you are the only one brave enough to walk through the door without a contractual guarantee. Consider the trap of the perfect moment. Many people wait to feel 100% ready before they claim an opportunity. And they think that readiness is a feeling that will arrive one day. But readiness is a decision. If you wait until you feel ready, you are waiting for a ghost. The highest value opportunities are time sensitive. They appear when the need is urgent, not when your ego is comfortable. The confident person understands that growth only happens in the stretch. You must be willing to be a beginner at a higher level. When you accept an opportunity that scares you, you are forcing your potential to expand to meet the demand. This proactive expansion is what creates genius. By risking your current comfort, you are purchasing your future mastery. You move from being a student of the past to being the architect of the future. You must also recognize the law of the public stake. Confidence is the willingness to be seen while you are striving. Most people hide their ambitions because they are afraid of the embarrassment of a visible failure. They move in secret, which limits their access to resources and allies. But the sovereign person is transparent about their aim. You declare your intent to the world, but you stand in the center of the arena. This vulnerability is actually your greatest strength. It signals to the world that you are serious. It attracts the right people who want to help someone who is already in motion. When you risk your reputation on a bold vision, you are creating a gravitational pull that drags resources toward you. People want to be part of a story that has stakes. By upping the stakes, you increase the attraction. Think about the physics of failure. Most people view failure as a dead end, a verdict on their value. This fear of the verdict makes them rigid, but the confident person views failure as data. You realize that setbacks are just feedback loops in the system of success. When a risk does not pay off, you do not collapse your stature. You still your mind, and you analyze the mechanics, and you pivot. This emotional durability is rare and highly valuable. Gatekeepers are looking for the person who is unbroken by defeat. They want the person who can walk through the fire and keep their form. When you prove that you can handle the downside, you unlock the infinite upside. You move from avoiding the storm to learning to sail the ship. This requires you to overcome the urge to hedge. Many people use weak language like, "I'll try," or "I might," or "I'm hoping to." They think this protects them if things go wrong. In reality, it guarantees that things will go wrong because it dilutes your conviction. Probability follows certainty. To attract world-class rewards, you must provide world-class commitment, like you must burn the boats. You must be willing to say, "I will deliver this, even if you don't yet know how." This radical ownership is the spark that ignites opportunity. When the world sees that you have no exit strategy, it surrenders to your vision. You are forcing the universe to align with your will. You move from the tentative to the total. This alchemy extends to your social risks. You must be willing to speak the truth, even if it is unpopular. You must be willing to ask for what you want, even if the answer might be no. Most people die 1,000 deaths in their imagination because they are afraid of a momentary awkwardness. But the confident person knows that awkwardness is the price of access. Every brave conversation you have is a lottery ticket for a life-changing opportunity. By consistently taking these small social risks, you mathematically ensure your eventual breakthrough. You are compounding your influence through courage. Start practicing the daily exposure. Identify one thing today that scares you, but aligns with your growth: a difficult email, a bold request, or a vulnerable conversation. Do it immediately, without overthinking. Notice the rush of agency that follows the act. Notice how the world does not collapse. You are training your nervous system to tolerate the heat of risk. You are building your collateral. You are preparing yourself for the massive rewards that are reserved for the unafraid. The strategic alchemy of risk and reward is the engine of your transformation. It is the reason why confidence creates what it so expects. Without it, you are waiting for the world to give you permission. But with it, you are taking your place. You move from being a passenger in your own life to being the navigator. You are no longer afraid of the dark. You are the light that defines the path. The world will learn to bet on you the moment you learn to bet on yourself. You are the risk. You are the reward. You are the sovereign. And today, your will is finally heavy enough to tilt the scales. Chapter 6. The magnetism of the internal compass. You must now investigate the core of your attraction strategy, the presence of an internal direction that does not rely on the world's map. Most people are social chameleons. They spend their lives trying to read the room to determine who they should be, and they look for cues on how to dress, how to speak, and what opinions to hold to remain safe and accepted. This is the externally referenced life. It tells the world that you are a follower of trends and a slave to the consensus. It signals that your value is a derivative of your environment. But the person who attracts elite opportunities possesses an internal compass. You move from the imitation of the crowd to the originality of the sovereign. You realize that certainty is the most scarce and valuable commodity in the world, and people will travel great distances to align with someone who knows exactly where they are going. Think about the physics of the North Star. In a dark and turbulent sea, the navigator does not look at the waves for direction. They look at the fixed point in the heavens. Most people are waves. They are tossed by the latest news, the latest market crash, or the most recent social slight. They are unstable. But when you have a clear mission and a set of principles that are non-negotiable, you become the fixed point. This predictability is magnetic. Gatekeepers and high-level partners are exhausted by the volatility of most people. They are looking for an anchor. When you demonstrate that your values and your vision do not waver under pressure, you are offering a psychological refuge. People offer you opportunities because they want to hitch their wagon to your steadfastness. You move from seeking a path to being the path. This magnetism requires you to understand the hierarchy of the why. Most people lead with their what, their job title, their specific task, or their daily grind. But what is a commodity? Thousands of people can do what you do. The sovereign person leads with their why, the underlying philosophy and conviction that drives their actions. When you speak from your compass, you aren't just talking about work. You are sharing a worldview. This ideological clarity acts as a filter. It repels the people who don't align with you and violently attracts the people who do. This polarization is the secret to high-level networking. You don't want everyone to like you. You want the right people to recognize you as a peer. By standing for something, you are calling your tribe to your side. You move from the generic to the legendary. Consider the trap of the panderer. When you try to please everyone, you end up pleasing no one, especially not yourself. You become diluted. You become beige. The world does not reward beige. The world ignores it. The confident person is comfortable with being disliked by the wrong people. You realize that rejection from a low-value source is actually a validation of your high-value standard. When you refuse to bend your compass to fit a mediocre opportunity, you are signaling your integrity. This stubbornness is attractive to visionaries. They want someone who has the backbone to say no to the good so they can say yes to the great. By protecting your direction, you ensure that you only arrive at destinations that are worthy of your destiny. You must also recognize the law of the self-correction. An internal compass does not mean you never make a mistake. It means you are the first to detect and correct it. Most people hide their errors because they are afraid of losing face. This deception is a status leak. It shows that you are more concerned with perception than with truth. But the sovereign person has an unshakable standard of honesty. When you veer off course, you admit it, fix it, and return to the path without drama or shame. This radical accountability is terrifyingly attractive. It tells the world that you are self-governed. Gatekeepers realize that they don't have to manage you because you manage yourself. This autonomy is the highest form of professional currency. You move from being a liability to being a rock. Think about the physics of the vibe. We often use the word vibe to describe the unspoken energy of a person. In psychological terms, and this vibe is the congruence between your internal compass and your external actions. When you are aligned, you vibrate with a clear, resonant frequency. People can feel the lack of friction in your presence. They describe you as authentic, centered, or grounded. This grounding is hypnotic. In a world of noise and pretense, authenticity is a superpower. People offer you opportunities because they want to be near that clarity. They trust you instinctively because they can see that you aren't performing. You are just being. This effortless attraction is the reward for doing the work of finding your own north. This requires you to overcome the urge to ask for directions. Most people spend their lives asking, "What should I do? What is the right move?" While mentorship is valuable, constantly asking for permission is a weakness. You must learn to trust your own data. You must be willing to be wrong on your own terms, rather than right on someone else's. When you stop asking the world for a map and start drawing your own, the world begins to follow your lead. You are demonstrating that you are a source of certainty. By owning your direction, you become the navigator for others. You move from being lost to leading the expedition. This compass extends to your social circles. You must audit the people you allow into your inner orbit. If you are surrounded by people with broken compasses, those who are cynical, aimless, or reactive, their interference will distort your signal. You must be ruthless with your environment. Surround yourself with sovereigns. Seek out those whose North Star is even brighter than yours. This community of clarity will amplify your attraction. You are building a constellation of greatness. You move from surviving the crowd to curating your legacy. Start practicing the compass check. 3 times today, stop and ask yourself, am I doing this because it aligns with my why, or am I doing it to please or fit in? If the answer is fitting in, stop the action immediately. Take a deep breath and realign with your internal standard. Notice the power that returns to you when you refuse to betray your own direction. You are remagnetizing your soul. You are reminding the world that you are unmoved by the wind. The magnetism of the internal compass is the soul of your attraction. It is the reason why you don't have to shout to be heard. Without it, you are drifting, but with it, you are destined. You move from being a passenger on the ship of the world to being the wind that drives the sails. You are no longer looking for a place to go. You are the destination. The world will learn to follow you the moment you learn to follow yourself. You are the compass. You are the direction. You are the sovereign. And today, your north is finally heavy enough to pull the horizon toward you. Chapter 7. The Currency of Social Reciprocity. You must now master the delicate mechanics of the social bank, the invisible ledger that governs every high-level relationship and opportunity. Most people enter a room with the energy of a debtor. They are looking for what they can get, how they can be helped, and who can open a door for them. This scarcity mindset is a massive value leak. It signals to the world that you are a consumer of energy rather than a producer. But the person who attracts elite opportunities understands the currency of social reciprocity. You realize that confidence is the ability to give from a place of infinite internal wealth. You move from the transactional of the desperate to the generative of the sovereign. You realize that the shortest path to getting everything you want is to become the source of what everyone else needs. Think about the physics of the gift. In the world of high-status interaction, the person who goes first with value is the person who sets the terms of the relationship. Most people hoard their insights, their connections, and their praise, waiting for someone else to prove they are worthy of receiving them. And this is defensive networking. It makes you look small and guarded. But when you move with sovereign abundance, you lead with the gift. You offer a strategic insight, a valuable introduction, or genuine recognition without a contractual expectation of return. This asymmetric generosity creates a psychological vacuum in the other person. Because humans are biologically wired for reciprocity, they feel a weight of obligation to even the score. By giving first, you are investing in their future cooperation. You move from asking for an opening to creating a debt of gratitude. This reciprocity requires you to understand the hierarchy of the favor. Most people ask for favors that are heavy. They ask for time, money, or a high-stakes recommendation before they have deposited any value into the social bank. This is overdrawing your account. It leads to rejection and reputational damage. But the confident person asks for light favors and provides heavy value. You understand that social capital is compounded over time. When you solve a problem for a gatekeeper without being asked, you are earning the right to ask for a door to be opened later. This strategic patience is magnetic. People offer you opportunities because you have already proven that you are a multiplier of their success. They aren't helping you. They are investing in a proven asset. You move from the burden to the boon. Consider the trap of the thank you. Most people use gratitude as a submissive signal. They say thank you too often, with a tilted head and a contracted chest, which makes the appreciation feel like an apology for taking up space. This devalues the exchange, but the sovereign person uses high-status appreciation. When you thank someone, you do it with direct eye contact, a level head, and specific detail. You don't just thank them for the favor, you validate their judgment or their expertise. You say, "I appreciate the introduction. Your intuition about that connection was precise." This frames the gratitude as a peer-to-peer recognition of excellence. It tells the other person that you are capable of judging their value. This intellectual equality is what makes you attractive to high performers. They don't want fans, and they want allies. You must also recognize the law of the unspoken offer. Confidence is the ability to see the unmet needs of the powerful. Most people wait for a job posting or a formal request before they offer their skills. This is reactive contribution, but the sovereign person scouts the territory. You identify the pain points of the organizations and individuals you admire, and you present a solution before they even articulate the problem. This proactive value creation is the ultimate magnet for opportunity. It signals that you have vision, initiative, and autonomy. You aren't asking for a role. You are demonstrating that the role already belongs to you. And gatekeepers scramble to legitimize your presence with an official offer because they are terrified of losing the value you are already providing. You move from applying to occupying. Think about the physics of social proof. In the economy of opportunity, who you know is a reflection of who you are. Most people chase high-status connections to borrow their light. This clinging is low status and obvious. But the confident person builds their own constellation. You invest in the growth of your peers and subordinates. You become the hub that connects other talented people. This ecosystem building creates a halo effect around your presence. When the world sees that success happens near you, when they assume you are the cause of the success, you become a kingmaker. And in the geometry of power, the kingmaker is always the most protected and most sought-after individual in the court. By elevating others, you are guaranteeing your own elevation. This requires you to overcome the fear of being used. Many people are stingy with their value because they are afraid someone will take it without paying for it. This poverty mindset constricts your flow. You must realize that your value is infinite. If someone takes an idea from you, you simply generate 10 more. By being extravagantly generous with your non-essential value, and you distinguish yourself from the masses who are clutching their scraps. This wealth of spirit is intimidating to the mediocre, but irresistible to the great. People offer you massive opportunities because they want to see what you can do with more resources. They realize that you are a river, not a bucket. You move from protecting your smallness to expanding your empire. This reciprocity extends to your feedback loops. You must be willing to tell the truth to those in power. Most people are yes men, and they echo the opinions of the leader to remain safe. This makes them invisible and disposable, but the sovereign person provides the gift of honest perspective. When you respectfully disagree or provide a counterintuitive insight, you are providing a rare and precious service. You are protecting the leader from their own blind spots. This intellectual courage is the fastest way to be promoted from employee to partner. You move from following the script to writing the future. Start practicing the daily deposit. Identify one person in your professional orbit today, someone above you, beside you, or below you, and provide them with a piece of value that requires nothing in return. In an article, an introduction, or a sincere piece of praise. Do it cleanly, without lingering, for a thank you. Notice the shift in the social air around you. You are loading the social bank. You are building the ledger of your influence. You are becoming the source. The currency of social reciprocity is the lubricant of your attraction. It is the reason why doors open for you unbidden. Without it, you are knocking on locked gates. But with it, you are the one who holds the keys. You move from begging for a seat to being the one who hosts the feast. You are no longer dependent on the goodwill of others. You have manufactured it through your own generosity. The world will learn to repay you in kind the moment you learn to give without counting. You are the currency. You are the source. You are the sovereign. And today, your bank is finally heavy enough to buy the room. Chapter 8. The Architecture of Strategic Visibility. You must now master the science of being seen by the right eyes at the most critical moments. Most people treat their professional visibility like a lottery. They show up, they do their work, and they hope that someone with the power to change their life will accidentally stumble upon their brilliance. This is the passive participant's gamble. It tells the world that you are a hidden gem that requires discovery, which places the entire burden of your success on the busy, undistracted shoulders of others. But the person who attracts elite opportunities understands the architecture of strategic visibility. You realize that confidence is the audacity to curate your own spotlight. You move from the shadows of the diligent to the vantage point of the sovereign. You realize that being the best is a private victory, but being recognized as the best is a public necessity. Think about the physics of the signal-to-noise ratio. In a world saturated with information, attention is the ultimate scarcity. Most people shout into the void. They post constantly. They self-promote with a high-pitched desperation, and they clutter the social environment with low-value noise. And this frequency is repellent. It signals that you are competing for scraps. But the sovereign person uses high-contrast visibility. You are silent and contained for long periods, and then you appear with a massive, undeniable contribution. This intermittent presence creates a psychological spike in the observer. Because you aren't always there, your arrival becomes an event. You move from being a background noise to being a broadcast. People offer you opportunities because your brand is associated with impact rather than activity. This architecture requires you to understand the hierarchy of the stage. Most people believe that to be visible, they must climb a pre-existing ladder. They wait for permission to speak, permission to lead, or permission to publish. But the confident person builds their own stage. You create the platforms where your genius can be demonstrated without gatekeeping. You start the think tank, you host the roundtable, or you publish the white paper that defines the industry standard. This proactive positioning is the fastest way to attract the elite. When you own the platform, you control the guest list. High-level players are attracted to those who organize the chaos. By taking the stage before it is given to you, you are proving that you are already beyond the level you are seeking. You move from auditioning to directing. Consider the trap of the quiet worker. There is a noble lie that hard work speaks for itself. It doesn't. Hard work is the engine, but visibility is the exhaust that tells the world the engine is running. If you are doing the work, but no one knows, you are subsidizing the success of those who are better at communicating. The sovereign person understands the obligation of the update. You don't brag, you document, you share the process, the data, and the results in a clinical, high-status manner. You say, "We achieved this result by applying this principle." This focus on the outcome removes the ego from the visibility. It makes your presence feel like a resource for the community rather than a plea for applause. This educational authority is magnetically attractive to partners. They want to work with the person who understands the mechanics of the win. You must also recognize the law of the proximity effect. Confidence is the willingness to occupy the physical and digital spaces where high-stakes decisions are made. Most people self-exclude from these spaces because they don't feel they belong yet. They stay in the back of the room or the low-level forums. This self-marginalization is a visibility killer. But the sovereign person positions themselves in the inner circle as a matter of standard. You attend the exclusive conference, you join the private club, and you engage with the top-tier thinkers in your niche. This is not social climbing, it is environmental alignment. When you are consistently present in the high-value zones, the world assumes you belong there. You become familiar to the gatekeepers. Familiarity leads to trust, and trust leads to opportunity. You move from the periphery to the power center. Think about the physics of social proofing. In the digital age, your visibility is multiplied by the voices of others. Most people try to force this by asking for testimonials or endorsements. This looks needy, but the confident person earns social proof through exceptional service to the influential. When you solve a problem for a high-status individual, and their recognition of you is worth 1,000 self-promotions. One public nod from a sovereign can shortcut 10 years of climbing. This borrowed gravity is legitimate because it is rooted in real value. By focusing your visibility strategy on the nodes of the network rather than the masses, you exponentially increase your attraction. You are building a reputation that precedes you into every room. You move from introducing yourself to being expected. This requires you to overcome the fear of being judged. Many people hide because they are afraid of the criticism that comes with visibility. They think that if they stay small, they will stay safe. But smallness is the greatest risk of all. Smallness leads to obsolescence. You must be willing to be the target of opinion. You must realize that polarization is a sign of impact. If everyone likes you, you are invisible. If some people dislike you, while others obsess over your work, you are vibrant. This courage to be seen in your full complexity is what attracts the loyal and the powerful. They want to ally with someone who has the skin to withstand the light. You move from blending in to standing out. This architecture extends to your visual and verbal identity. You must curate a signal that is consistent across all touchpoints. Your profile, your email style, and your physical appearance must all agree with your high standard compass. If your work is premium, but your presentation is budget, you are creating a cognitive dissonance that scares away elite opportunities. You must invest in your packaging. This is not about vanity. It is about reducing friction for the observer. When your external signal is polished and powerful, it validates the internal genius. It makes the decision to hire or partner with you easy. You move from being a puzzle to being the obvious choice. Start practicing the strategic spotlight. Identify one high-value individual or group in your industry today and make yourself visible to them through a clean, high-value interaction. A thoughtful comment on their work, a concise email with a useful insight, or a physical presence at an event where they are speaking. Do not ask for anything. Simply signal your existence and your excellence. Notice how the map of your career begins to shift. You are placing your coordinates on the radar. You are building your architecture. The architecture of strategic visibility is the transmission of your attraction. It is the reason why the best known often beats the best. Without it, your genius is a secret, but with it, your presence is a monument. You move from hoping to be found to being impossible to ignore. You are no longer waiting for the light to hit you. You are the light that defines the landscape. The world will learn to seek you out the moment you learn to show them where you are. You are the visibility. You are the signal. You are the sovereign. And today, when your light is finally heavy enough to claim the stage. Chapter 9. The Psychology of the High Stakes. No. You must now enter the most paradoxical realm of human attraction, the power of the refusal. Most people believe that the way to attract opportunity is to be infinitely available, agreeable, and eager. They treat every request as a potential lifeline and every invitation as a mandatory obligation. This is the accessibility trap. It signals to the world that your time has no floor price and that your standard is secondary to your need to be included. But the person who operates at the highest levels of influence understands the psychology of the high stakes. No. You realize that confidence is the audacity to reject the good so that you remain vacant for the great. You move from the compliance of the many to the exclusivity of the sovereign. You realize that your value is not defined by what you accept, but by what you are willing to walk away from. Think about the physics of scarcity. In any market, the more attainable a resource is, the less it is valued. If you are the person who says yes to every low-level meeting, every unpaid consultation, and every coffee chat with a stranger, you are flooding the market with your own presence. You are devaluing your currency. But when you begin to use the high-stakes no, you are constricting the supply. This scarcity creates a psychological premium on your yes. When people realize that your attention is guarded by a high standard, they begin to compete for it. They prepare more thoroughly for your meetings. They offer more significant rewards for your partnership. They respect your boundaries. You move from being an option to being a privilege. People offer you elite opportunities because they want to be the exception to your no. This psychology requires you to understand the hierarchy of the trade-off. Most people view a no as a loss, a lost connection, a lost dollar, or a lost chance. But the sovereign person views a no as a strategic buyback. Every time you say no to a distraction, you are buying back the cognitive energy and temporal space required to master your primary mission. You realize that opportunity cost is the silent killer of greatness. If you are busy managing the mediocre, you will be too exhausted to seize the magnificent when it finally appears. This disciplined rejection is the ultimate signal of self-trust. It tells the world that you believe in the arrival of a better offer. Gatekeepers are fascinated by this certainty. They want to know what you know about your own future that allows you to turn down the current bird in the hand. You move from being hungry to being fed. Consider the trap of the polite explanation. When most people say no, they apologize and provide a lengthy justification for why they can't comply. This buffer is a status leak. It tells the other person that you feel guilty for having boundaries and that you are asking for permission to decline. It invites negotiation, but the confident person uses the clean refusal. You say, "I cannot commit to this at this time, as it does not align with my current priorities." You do not defend your priorities. You do not offer a consolation prize. This starkness is highly attractive to power players. It signals that you are sovereign over your calendar. It proves that your internal compass is stronger than your social conditioning. By being unnegotiable, you increase the weight of your integrity. You must also recognize the law of the veto. Confidence is the willingness to kill a bad deal, even at the last minute. Most people succumb to sunk cost bias. They have spent so much time negotiating that they feel obligated to sign, even if the terms have become unfavorable. This compliance is a visibility of your weakness. But the sovereign person retains the permanent veto. You are ready to walk until the ink is dry. This detachment is your greatest leverage. It forces the other party to stay honest and stay generous. When you refuse to settle for a substandard exchange, you are protecting your future reputation. High-level opportunities gravitate toward those who cannot be trapped. They want a partner who is loyal to the standard, not loyal to the momentum. You move from being a passenger on the deal train to being the conductor. Think about the physics of social filtration. Your no acts as a filter that removes the time wasters, the vampires, and the low-value seekers from your orbit. Most people are afraid of offending these people, but offending a vampire is a benefit, not a cost. By being selective and direct, you are training the world on how to interact with you. You are signaling that you are a high-stakes player. The only people who are offended by your boundaries are the ones who intended to profit from your lack of them. The great will respect your no because they possess a no of their own. This shared language of refusal is how you identify your peers. You move from being available to everyone to being essential to the few. This requires you to overcome the fear of missing out, FOMO. You must realize that missing out on average things is the requirement for attaining extraordinary things. You must embrace the void of the unscheduled. Many people fill their calendars to feel important, but the sovereign person protects their blank space. You realize that genius requires boredom and contemplation. When you refuse the noise, you amplify the signal. This psychological space is what allows you to see the patterns that others miss. It is what makes your insights rare and marketable. By saying no to the world's agenda, you are saying yes to your own legacy. You move from being a worker in the vineyard to being the owner of the estate. This refusal extends to your internal habits. You must say no to your own impulses to rush, to complain, or to seek comfort. You must reject the easy path. This internal discipline is the source of your external and authority. When you can command your own desires, you can command the attention of the room. People offer you opportunities because they see that you are self-governed. They realize that if you can say no to yourself, you can say no to mediocrity on their behalf. This reliability is the gold standard of partnership. You move from being a risk to being a guarantee. Start practicing the sovereign no. Identify one request or invitation today that you would normally say yes to out of guilt or habit, and decline it cleanly. No excuses, no apologies. Simply state that it does not fit your current focus. Notice the initial spike of anxiety, followed by the profound sense of relief and power. You are reclaiming your time. You are setting your standard. You are beholding your own value. The psychology of the high-stakes no is the armor of your attraction. It is the reason why your yes eventually carries the weight of law. Without it, your confidence is porous, but with it, your presence is impenetrable. You move from begging for a chance to being the one who grants them. You are no longer negotiating for your life. You are defining it through exclusion. The world will learn to value your time the moment you learn to refuse to waste it. You are the no. You are the filter. You are the sovereign. And today, your standard is finally heavy enough to win the long game. Chapter 10. The inevitability of the magnetic legacy. You have now reached the final elevation of the sovereign, the transition from building a signal to becoming the signal itself. Most people view confidence as a tool to be used for a specific result. They want the job, the partner, or the deal. They treat their presence as a performance that ends once the objective is secured. This is the goal-oriented illusion. It tells your subconscious that your value is conditional and that your authority is borrowed for the occasion. But the person who operates at the peak of human influence understands the inevitability of the magnetic legacy. You realize that confidence is not a means to an end, and it is an end in itself. You move from chasing results to embodying a state of being that makes those results a statistical certainty. You realize that when you stop trying to attract opportunity and start existing as the person who deserves it, the world has no choice but to reorganize itself to match your reality. Think about the physics of the finished work. In the world of art and engineering, a masterpiece is not just an object, it is the resolution of a vision. Most people are works in progress. They are leaking doubt, they are searching for clues, and they are wavering in their execution. They are unfinished, but the sovereign person moves with the density of a completed work. You have settled the question of your worth in the private chambers of your own mind, and you have audited your compass, sharpened your directness, and refined your standard. When you walk into a room now, you aren't auditioning for a role. You are appearing as the final version of yourself. This wholeness is hypnotically attractive. People offer you elite opportunities because they want to own a piece of your certainty. They aren't betting on your potential. They are subscribing to your inevitability. This legacy requires you to understand the hierarchy of the echo. Most people are short-sighted. They focus on the immediate interaction. They want the win today. But the confident person plays the infinite game. You realize that every gesture, every no, and every standard you uphold creates an echo that travels through your social and professional network. Your reputation is the ghost of your past confidence walking into the room before you do. When you consistently refuse to compromise, when you consistently lead with value, and when you consistently maintain your sovereign tempo, you are building a mythology. This mythology is your greatest attractor. It filters the noise and calls to the great. People offer you transformative opportunities because they have heard the echo of your integrity, You move from introducing yourself to being a legend in the making. Consider the trap of the finish line. Many people believe that once they arrive at a certain level of success, they can relax their standards. They think they can slump, fidget, or seek approval because they have made it. This is decay. Authority is not a destination, and it is a discipline. The moment you lower your internal standard, your external attraction begins to atrophy. The sovereign person understands that maintenance is mastery. You stay heavy when you are at the top, just as you did when you were at the bottom. You continue to refine your signal. This consistency is terrifyingly powerful. It tells the world that your power is not situational, it is essential. It proves that you are not playing a part. You are the king of your own domain. By staying the course, you ensure that your attraction only compounds with age. You must also recognize the law of the surrender. There is a point in the journey of confidence where the world stops testing you and begins to yield to you. And most people never reach this point because they blink during the test. They contract under pressure. But when you have proven your unshakable standard through 1,000 small battles, the environment undergoes a phase shift. The gatekeepers become gate openers, the competitors become collaborators, the obstacles become launch pads. This universal surrender is the reward for your sovereign persistence. You no longer have to push, you simply orient your will, and the universe aligns to deliver the result. This is the apex of attraction. You have moved from gravity to grace. You move from making it happen to letting it happen. Think about the physics of legacy. What is the story people tell about you when you leave the room? If you have followed the sovereign path, the story is one of certainty, clarity, and value. You are the one who couldn't be bought. You are the one who knew the way. You are the one who stood still while the world was spinning. This legacy is your immortality. It is the reason why opportunities will continue to find you even when you are resting. You have woven your confidence into the fabric of reality. You have become a standard by which others measure themselves. This is the ultimate success, to be the measure. You move from seeking the prize to being the benchmark. This requires you to overcome the fear of the finality. Many people are afraid to commit to a sovereign life because they think it will be lonely or heavy. They are afraid of the responsibility of being your center of gravity. But you must realize that the weight of authority is lighter than the weight of regret. The loneliness of the sovereign is a myth. You will be surrounded by the highest value people in the world, those who recognize and revere your clarity. You are exchanging the clutter of the many for the intimacy of the great. You must embrace your stature. You must wear your power like a skin. When you are comfortable with your own magnitude, the world is comfortable with it too. This legacy extends to your contribution to the future. You must realize that by embodying this unshakable confidence, you are teaching everyone who witnesses you. You are expanding the limit of what is possible for a human being. You are showing the scared that they can be brave. You are showing the wavering that they can be still. Your attraction is not just for your own gain. It is a service to the evolution of the collective. You are lifting the standard for the entire room. This higher purpose is the final spark that ignites your magnetism. When you move for something larger than yourself, you are backed by the power of the universe. You move from the individual to the universal. Start practicing the legacy gaze. Tonight, look back on your past self, the one who was apologetic, hesitant, and small. Forgive that person. They were doing their best with the tools they had. Then, turn your gaze toward the future sovereign you have become today. Feel the weight of your feet on the floor. Feel the breadth of your shoulders. Feel the stillness of your mind. Resolve that from this moment forward, you will never again betray your own standard. You are consecrating your presence. You are launching your legacy. The inevitability of the magnetic legacy is the climax of your sovereign journey. It is the reason why confidence is the only path worth walking. Without it, you are drifting through a life that is too small for you. But with it, you are ruling a destiny that is worthy of your soul. You move from asking why to knowing how. You are no longer waiting for the opportunity of a lifetime. You are the opportunity. The world will learn to revolve around you the moment you learn to stand your ground. You are the legacy. You are the magnetic. You are the sovereign. And today, you are finally heavy enough to own the world.